So just to get to know all of you, I wanted to go around and have you all just say something brief about the first clip you remember doing, or maybe the one that stands out the most to you from early in your career. So Dominique, we'll start with you.
Okay, so I didn't want to talk about the first one because I have no idea. But the one that stands out the most to me is one that I made a couple years ago, I think 2017. It's called Femme for Femme, and it was the first one that I did where I was able to do everything that I wanted to do as a clip producer, which is I was able to pay the other model up front, which is something I've always wanted to be able to do, which was really great, and set up a royalties plan with them. So I pay them royalties for that, which is something that I think is really cool and I've always wanted to do with my productions. So that really stood out to me as something where, you know, I did everything finally exactly how I always wanted to.
I was part of this collective, this collective called Sluts for Sluts that grew out of sex worker, trans house that I was living in, and we wanted to make like DIY porn in London, which didn't have much of a community then. Yeah, it was just a really interesting, you know, period of time when we all kind of came together for our first shoot, with so many kind of like people part of the queer community who were very interested in, you know, helping out and being part of the collective. I think it ended up from, I think 5 of us living in the house, it ended up being like 15 other folk who kind of joined the collective. And that first scene that we did with all of those people was like really, you know, creating like queer kind of like trans sex worker content was really empowering. I thought that was quite, it's something that always I remember fondly about.
Okay. It's interesting. One of the things that I hear both of you saying is that it's not necessarily about like what you created or the content of what you created, but more about like how you went about creating it and what the relationships with the people that you did it with were and how you set that all up. And I think that I hope we can touch on that a little bit more as we go along. Spooky, what about you?
This isn't like kind of like a DIY thing, but just like one of my favorite shoots that I've done was with Crash Pad series, and that's what I aim to do. Like when I shoot with other people, it was just very up to me. I got to choose everything. It kind of was a very spur of the moment solo, but I liked that I got to, you know, say how I wanted, like my genitalia labeled and how I wanted to be referred to as. And so that's just kind of what I look for when I like shoot with other people, is I like to do like a lot of consent and cues and include that a lot with the stuff that I don't know, shoot at like conventions and stuff. Like we do a lot of like checking in and stuff, and I just think that's very important.
I feel like I've got a little bit of a different experience because I don't really like, I sometimes work with people, but majority of my stuff is solo content. So I kind of have a bit of a different experience in terms of anecdotes here. My first, like, I guess like the standout video that I think of when I think of like early me videos, and one that in my opinion was a career defining video for me to make. It was a custom video, and it was my very first impregnation video, which like that is like a very like big niche for me now. But at the time that was my first video, and it was a custom video that had like a pretty detailed script, which I normally don't do anymore, but I was like, I'm gonna go with this because I'm super into this idea. And it made this video called Practice Makes Pregnant. And it became like one of my, like, it's still my most sold video across multiple platforms. And I felt like I was like, oh, I'm personally into this kink, but also like my fans are clearly like very respondent to impregnation. So I'm going to keep going with this. And then that's kind of, yeah, definitely defined my career in that kind of way. And it was super fun because it kind of, it started like majority of my videos now kind of have a structure of where it's like kind of like a movie where there's like the beginning, like the rising action and like the climax, and it's like kind of works in that 3-story structure. So a lot of my clips, like the customer who commissioned it to me had like it kind of done in like 3 little mini scenes all in one video, and that kind of affected how I currently like plan out my like stories and my role plays.
Our best-selling clip was also a custom, and it seemed to tap into not just like that person's fantasy, but like across a lot of, like it spoke to a lot of people. And I think there's something that's like interesting about that sort of collaboration experience that you have with like your customers and your clients that create something that's different than what you would make if they weren't involved in it. I think at least that's been one of my experiences.
So to me, DIY is like porn that you make without the backing of a company. So like without a company's financial backing and without any overhead. So you have kind of full creative freedom. But you know, that being said, there is always like customs and things like that. And that, I think that still counts, even though there's financial backing from somebody else and there might not be no overhead. You're still, in the end of the day, in control of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, it's just porn that you make all by yourself, not all by yourself, but like, yeah, without like kind of like the man, I guess, the companies telling you exactly what to do and how to look and how to be. For me, because I'm a solo artist primarily, yeah, it's definitely like just like from start to finish, being able to like control all aspects of production. Yeah.
So as a solo artist, do you do every part of it from start to finish? So you film it yourself, you perform it yourself, you edit it yourself?
Yes. Like I've only recently decided to like start like delegating some like I hired a virtual assistant to like upload some things for me, who I think is here in the chat. But yeah, so it's like I'm just starting to kind of outsource a bit. But like for a while I was just so very like particular about the way I like my editing style and stuff like that I'm like, and also like when I was first starting out, didn't have the funds to hire other people. So it would just be me doing everything, marketing, filming, marketing. Yeah.
Yeah, when I think about DIY porn, it's just being involved with every single aspect, with coming up with what you're going to shoot, your angles, your lights, all of that. And it's been like, I don't know, a really like fun ride, like starting out with like nothing at all, and then a fan buying you a fucking ring light, and then just like going from there. And then all of a sudden it's like literally now I can kind of just chill. I've been just chilling during quarantine, and just it's nice that all those nights that I stayed up really fucking late and then still went to school the next day, like putting out these, I don't know, low quality clips on ManyVids, but it's gotten me and I like it.
Yeah.
I was gonna add, yeah, I think it's, you know, having direct involvement in, you know, the process, and being able to kind of influence, you know, what the story is going to be about, without there not being so much pushback or yeah, just being having a more kind of direct involvement in it, and also like not just during and like the beginning, but also after, you know, things have been shot, still having like relatively like control over, you know, if you wanted the content taken down or like changed, you know, still being able to you know, be it not be such a big issue, but still
Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up a really important issue, which is that, like, if you're doing your own stuff, you have control over what it looks like. I mean, that's one of the things that Gwen was talking about, like how it's edited, what it looks like, how you're going to put together the story and how you're going to market it. But you also have control over whether or not you take it down, what happens to it, where it gets distributed. So I'm wondering if, you know, kind of following up on that, is that one of the things that's important to you all when you think about like how your content is distributed, or what, you know, how do you think about that, or how do you deal with that in your work?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to, for me personally, I like to be in control of like where my content is, because when you work for a company, you kind of just give them the right to upload it however they want, whenever they want. And you don't really have any control of that. Of course, theft is always an issue with any sort of online media. So you can't have full 100% control, but you can choose where you are actually uploading it. And you can remove those things if you don't like a company because they didn't treat you right or whatever. And I think that's very valuable.
Like I don't generally, because I haven't shot for any companies, I haven't really had to think about like, I guess, distribution in a lot of sense, but it definitely is freeing for me to be able to be like, oh, this is what I'm charging, and like that's going back to me directly, and I like, not versus like, say another like making something for a company and selling it and then just having them make who knows how much money off of it, because then you're not like, if there's no residual with that, then it's like, oh well, you just like, you know, that's fine. When I could have made the same video for myself and taken like the majority of the cut from it.
I've seen like another kind of model of where it's you have a lot of I guess tube sites popping up, I guess more ethical kind of tube sites, where they approach a few of like approached me in terms of like leasing content to host on their services and stuff, and but me still having like ownership of that content, and I guess there is some sort of residual income, and I think it raises their name, and they have, I guess, more content on those tube sites. Yeah, it's very like interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that this brings up is that there's a lot of different models. So there's a, you know, there's DIY where you're entirely doing things by yourself, and then there's studio porn, but there's also a lot of things that are happening like in between those, and like figuring out how to negotiate your career and your brand and everything among those options, I think is a personal choice, but it's also like kind of tricky to know like what is in your best interest when you're creating content, when you're selling it to people, and when you're trying to market it. So I kind of want to move into going off of that. I was curious what you all think in terms of like what self-producing your own content, what sort of advantages do you think that has, and where does it fall short?
I would say the advantages would just be you have total control over everything. You can set your price, you can set how much, you know, you want to invest in producing it. I think the disadvantages though is pretty much mine would be like just having stuff up front to do like the creative stuff that I actually like have in my brain, and it's like not having studio space or not having the money to do like what I want to do. And so that's kind of like what stops me. So that's also kind of the disadvantage, because like, you know, if you work with, I don't know, someone else, they kind of have like a budget, already have like the space and everything you need to just kind of like do it up. But I would say having a space is probably the disadvantage, is having like a cool, like, I don't know, I have a lot of ideas that I can't get out.
I feel that. Particularly like in terms of space, trying to do everything inside your own house is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
you know, definitely, yeah, what Spooky was saying, like that kind of startup income, or, you know, that already like these kind of companies already have, or like is definitely much more, yeah, like it gives you like leverage to do more things and more, you know, invest in better equipment and stuff, and things like, you know, when Patreon was much more friendly to sex workers, it was, you know, having that kind of direct kind of like income and backing was yeah, really helpful to kind of like start then rely on like studio models.
I mean, now that that we're in the middle of COVID, everybody is kind of forced into doing everything on their own. And I was wondering if you all feel like you were better equipped to deal with that, or if it's bringing its own like sort of sets of challenges.
Beneficial, like comparatively to what I've seen, like say like pro porn performers, like they've had to a much like I think bigger adjustment period in terms of like, you know, instead of going into like a studio as a set and just being told what to do and then being like done for the day, packing in and, you know, moving on. Like we live in our houses and usually film in our houses, so it's not like the biggest transition, but I feel like I don't know, I feel definitely cooped up. Like I'm someone who like in my personal life, I need to like be able to go out and like hang out with my friends often, to be able to get like, just so I can survive throughout the week. Like I'm such an extrovert. So it's like kind of being in my house all the time has like made me feel like creatively like like sucked dry of like just my ideas. And I feel almost like claustrophobic in my space. And I'm like, I just need to like travel to a completely different place just to be able to like produce something else. So like I'm trying to I think I'm gonna go like just like locally to like an Airbnb for a bit, just so I have a different space to like make stuff in, because I'm just getting like way too much in my head and in my space right now.
I totally feel that way. And I'm not even an extrovert. I'm an introvert, and it feels like that to me. So I don't know like how the extroverts are managing. Because I agree with you. There's a way in which I feel like creatively zapped too, that it's hard to like come up with things when you have no external stimulation and like you're inside the walls of your house like every day and everything looks the same. And it's this weird like liminal space where I feel like everything in the world has changed except that like the day to day is so monotonous. That it's really hard to do this sort of like creative work. But yeah, I'm curious from the other panelists, like what has this transition been like for you?
Well, for me, it hasn't really been much of a transition because I don't really go outside ever anyway. The disabilities that I have make it so that you know, staying home all day, not doing anything is kind of just what I do all the time. So it's not new. And also, to go back to the original question about, you know, well, first, like the advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are like, I can work within my ability, which is great, which means I don't have to work hardly ever. Disadvantages are it's for newer people, which touches on the other part. Newer people coming into it, it's really high effort for really low return. And that's what a lot of sex workers are having trouble with right now with COVID, is all these strippers and full service workers are having to now like start an OnlyFans or do clip sales or whatever, and like, or camming. Oh my God, like bottom of the barrel as far as like starting out. So they're going from like making like rent in a night to having to work 6 hours a day and maybe making $100 like when they're first starting out. So I think that's a big advantage that we have for having names for ourselves already, is that we already have income from this. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but my income has only increased since the start.
Yeah, I feel like it really hasn't been much of a change. I just miss like the conventions. Like that's pretty much what I look forward to, is seeing like all my hoe friends and like making content. And other than that, like, I just like the same. I feel like my money's actually increased, which I like. It's been a lot easier. But also I'm a parent, so that kind of sucks with trying to be like a teacher, a mom, sneaking in pictures and promotion and all that stuff. Like, I have been zapped of like all my energy. So
maybe before the lockdown and COVID, I know 60-70% of my content was like with collaborating with others, and producing stuff with co-performance and stuff. And, you know, with COVID now, you know, investing more time in producing more shot kind of content. So yeah, it's kind of forced me to kind of think more outside the box, like diversify what kind of content that I shoot. Yeah, but it's definitely been interesting. Like, I think being introverted as well, like, it's definitely not been there's not been a change in terms of staying at home, but in terms of work, like, having to think like spitball like ideas or for like solo kind of content.
So typical day for me is just being in bed all day, but a typical work day, I get up kind of early, I do my makeup, and then I'll usually do photo shooting for like 2 hours, because most of my money now is just pictures, and occasionally I'll make a short clip, and I'll just work for 2 hours, and then I'll edit that all. If I want to do promo that day, I'll do promo that day. Otherwise, I'll save it for the next morning, because I find that advertising in the morning is best for me. That's it.
What about you, Gwen?
I'm all over the place sometimes. But if I'm doing a shoot day specifically, makeup. Usually I try to wake up early. Sometimes it doesn't happen. But whenever I wake up, makeup, get ready. Usually like pictures. And then what I've been doing is I plan my OnlyFans content. So I post every day on OnlyFans, but I plan it like outfits, like based around an outfit per day. So it's like if I'm doing like one set, like a picture set for that day, it's gonna be in one outfit, and then I'll make 2 accompanying clips, which will be like one really quick clip, and then one clip that I can send out in like a pay-per-view message. So usually I'll do that in kind of like bundles. So when I shoot it, it's always take the pictures, take a quick clip, take a little bit longer of a quick clip, and then I usually try to do film a bigger video when I have my makeup done too, because it's I'd rather just get it all out of the way in kind of one nice looking day. And I usually film at night. I was just saying that in the chat, because I have housemates who aren't industry people, so I usually film at night to work with that. And so I'm a night owl in terms of the way I work like that, and then I usually finish up and put all my stuff on my hard drive, and then the next day, and over usually in the day, coming days, it's when I do my editing and that kind of stuff. And then usually my promo stuff is usually on the fly. I work on the fly a lot with a lot of my things that I do.
I only do things on the fly, and I'm always surprised when I hear people say that they have scheduled tweets and things. I'm like, how does anyone do that? I don't even understand how anyone could do that.
I mean, I'm getting so much more into scheduled kind of posts now, because before it wasn't a mess, as in, only get into editing when I get to editing, get into posting content when I get to it, and it wasn't working. And now I don't set out a day every week or whatever, but usually I find that a Saturday or Sunday is much more, I'm not doing so much because maybe during the week I'm sleeping or, you know, too restless to like create content or post stuff. So usually like a Saturday or Sunday, usually at night, I just kind of like content that I have, I just kind of like schedule it to be posted throughout the week, and maybe even into 2 weeks, but mostly it's just like 5 days because I can't. It gets a bit too kind of too much, and then I don't have to kind of deal with it. But then that means that, you know, I don't kind of like open up like OnlyFans, or I don't open up, you know, many vids and stuff like that to kind of check contents or like custom requests. And so yeah, I kind of just leave it and then it's done, and I lag behind with, you know, catching up with messages or like requests and stuff like that. So I'm still trying to figure out like a better way.
I'm pretty lazy, but I guess what I do is I wake up and I hit all of my socials first and post whatever I'm going to post for the day. I still use Snapchat a lot, so I'm always posting stuff throughout the day on there. I film when I feel cute, so I don't really like have specific like film days or anything like that. It's just whenever I think I look cute. And I like don't plan anything because I hate plans. But yeah, pretty much I chill all day and I network and I do mom stuff. So
because of a large majority of my content was, you know, produced collaborating, so it was we usually produced stuff around festival times and, you know, events and expos and stuff, so shooting throughout all of those kind of events and just having a big chunk of like content to then release throughout the year, or like edit throughout the year. So yeah, like my schedule, like in terms of, you know, then I didn't have to kind of, yeah, produce content throughout the week or month to month, unless it was, you know, very, yeah, kind of solo content and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. It's like, it's great to come back from AVN or XBiz or something and be like, I have 7 scenes that I can release, you know, over time, and we can't do that right now. So
I would say what's helped me a lot is just like getting involved like in community and just like finding models that I thought would, I don't know, I guess that I could kind of lurk on and help watch me grow, like that I could watch, you know, watch them while I grow. And that it just takes work too. Like it's way like, there's a lot of work that goes in it. You have to put time into it. You have to try things and, you know, fail at them or look stupid or do things that are way out of your comfort zone. But like it has a way bigger benefit to it because like I love all of myself now. Like I used to like, this is gonna sound so stupid, but like I used to hate my big ass feet and now I get paid to have big ass fucking feet. Like that's so fucking cool. And like, I don't know, you just can't really put a price on that. It's awesome. And so, I don't know, people I feel are built for it and it's just in them and they end up being a sex worker eventually, and they can just, you know, figure it out. And so I just hope people take a chance if they really feel like, you know, I mean, there's a huge risk to it, but also YOLO.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm glad that you brought that up because one of my experiences entering into this industry is that things that I was super self-conscious about are things that people really liked, and it changed my own like perceptions of myself or of my body in ways that I didn't actually anticipate. Or didn't anticipate like how much that would change me in positive ways. What other tips do you guys have? Or if you want to piggyback on anything that Spooky said, that's fine too.
Yeah, definitely trying stuff out is really important. And I think that like for me, that was a pivotal thing in terms content wise, like trying different genres, trying different niches, trying different fetishes, and mixing them all up to see kind of what is going to stick for you and like your brand. And because obviously like when you first start out, you're like, I don't know what to do. Like, so you're just like, oh, I'll usually like lean into what I'm interested in, which is what I started out doing. But then I was like, oh, this isn't working for me, creating submissive content. And then I was like, you know what, maybe I should try some dom content, which was like, that sells a lot better for me for whatever reason, which I'm happy with. I love it now. Definitely has shifted my own kinks. So yeah, definitely don't be afraid to look out there for inspiration in terms of that and try different things that might be a little bit out of your comfort zone at first, but yeah, definitely mix it up.
I think, yeah, like definitely what Spooky was saying, like community. I know sometimes it can be quite isolating depending on where you are if you're not in a place that has community. So yeah, like online community is also like great and definitely valid, which can really help, you know, work through a lot of stigma that kind of comes along with this. And also like safety kind of stuff, you know, like I think community also in terms of alerting regarding, you know, awareness of safety and like whisper networks and and also APAC, I've forgotten what APAC's Inspire program, like I think is really good for, you know, regarding safety and mental health.
So, I mean, the biggest thing that really improved my career deeply was being honest with who I was with my viewers and not being afraid of confrontation. But that kind of feeds back into the other part. And what I mean by that is I'm a dominatrix. I have always been a dominatrix. Ever since I first started in my career, before I even did sex work, I was a dom. But when I was working, I would treat all my viewers like non-submissives. I would treat them all just like anyone I would see on the street, right? I don't make strangers submit to me. That's fucking weird. So I would treat all my viewers with just baseline respect. And if somebody tried to start shit with me, I wouldn't like strongly stand up for myself. I'd just be like, okay, we disagree on this. Bye. Now, if someone starts shit with me, I ruin their day. And that gets me a lot of money. And I don't give anyone that same respect that I give to a stranger on the street. My viewers, if they're coming to me, I want them to want what I'm providing. I don't want them to want to be my friend. I want them to want to honor me, respect me, worship me. So I make them do that. And if they don't vibe with it, then they leave. And I don't want their money anyway. So that has drastically improved my income and improved my standing, as well as being honest with being a trans woman. That's been a big boost as well. Both of them combine, and now I'm doing great. So being honest with who I am was big because it made me find my niche. And I think finding your niche is the most important thing you can do if you're going to be kind of smaller scale.
Try different things out. I think it's kind of almost like throwing like a little like dart at a dartboard and seeing like what hits. Just even if you are casually, like I get a lot of inspiration from like erotica. So if you just kind of browse like and do the random, like it's like litrotica.com or whatever, if you go like click the random button, it can bring up like different random stories that you wouldn't normally stumble your way into. You can be like, oh, I can like use this fetish in this way or something like that. But yeah, it's definitely about like playing with stuff in order to find what you like to create, but also what's gonna sell for you. So yeah, it's like throwing a dart at a bunch of different ideas and being like, oh, this fetish with this fetish. Like it's a little bit of like math in that way. And then you got a product that kind of combines two different genres in one video.
A lot of clip sites have like, you know, where you can see what's trending, and like I like looking at clips for sale and seeing like shit that I've never even would think of even filming, because a lot of that stuff you can see, and you can even have your clothes on still, and you don't even have to like do anything besides just have a camera. And so, you know, it's just even that, like, I guess people like watching me pee and go to the bathroom. So I make a lot of money doing that. And it's something that I literally do every day. And I would just flush it down the toilet and, you know, pay a water company to like take care of it. So it's like, I don't know. I think that's cool. And like finding, I don't know, just like new stuff. And also what Gwen said about the custom clips, those are my best sellers too. So ask your viewers and they'll help you.
I don't know how to exactly explain it, but there's a, you know, Clips for Sale has a really kind of easy way to like look at underserved fetishes, underserved markets in those areas. And, you know, it's like the top clip was like made 2 years ago or something, but like a lot of people are viewing it. So checking out those fetishes, the ones that are underserved, and then seeing which ones you can vibe with as a person, like that you're comfortable doing, or that's something that you like yourself, and then producing a bunch of different clips in those areas and seeing which ones sell the best for you. And then if certain ones sell best for you, start working in those areas and see if they continue to sell best for you. If they don't continue to sell best for you, it's, you know, explore the other ones. That is if you don't already have a niche that you want to focus on, because you can just build up a niche doing something that you love if you already know what that is. You don't have to like find one that other people put you in if that's something that you want to do. It just takes more time, and not everyone has that luxury. So, you know, you have to figure that out. And one last thing I want to add is, and this is just kind of advice for starting out, if you're a new producer, utilize as many markets as you can, because we have a lot more opportunity than we realize. And what a lot of us fall into is we just go on Twitter, and then we go on a clips site or a webcam site, or like a few clip sites and a few webcam sites. You can use vanilla markets. You can sell audiobooks on regular platforms and make good money doing that. Fetish content, YouTube, you can lead people to your name making YouTube audio clips. Like there's all kinds of opportunities to get your name out there and increase your SEO. You can build a website with all the right keywords in it and stuff like that, where you sell audiobooks, and then you can use traditional, what are they called? Payment processors. So don't limit yourself in the same ways that a lot of us who are more developed have limited ourselves, but we're able to do that. I'm able to just make money on 2 platforms because I make good money. I have a big name. Not everyone who's new can do that. So if you have the ability to work harder, go ahead and really diversify.
I was 36 and I'm 42 now. So you are definitely not too old.
Same. I mean, I was younger, I don't know, 28, 29, probably when I started camming, trying to make money camming. And, you know, I'm 36 now.
I think so.
Yeah. I was born in 1984, whatever that.
I was 30 when I started, and I'm 32 now. And honestly, I knew like I wanted to do it for a long time, but I met someone who was shooting porn, and I was doing like pictures for them. And like literally after she left that night, I like made a My Free Cams account and like made a Snapchat and like posted a picture on Twitter with like, I don't even know what hashtag I use, but someone bought my Snapchat like the first day, and I was like, bam, we're in this. But yeah, the confidence, I think just knowing that, I mean, this is going to sound like there's someone out there for everyone. So even if you're not even putting out like what you think is the best work, someone will probably still buy it. And it's still like, it still makes you feel good. So I don't know, just trying to like, I guess like fake it till you make it. You'll be okay. Like if it's something you want to do, you'll find your confidence with what you're doing if you push.
I started online sex work at 18. I'm 25 now. I will say it's never too late to start, but it's always too late to stop. As soon as you start doing online sex work, you are online forever for the rest of your life. You cannot control that. And that will completely ruin a lot of potential opportunities for you in the future. So if it's not something you're sure that you want to do, online sex work that is, then like, unless you have to do it, maybe reconsider and think about finding another online hustle, if that's all you can do. But that being said, it is the most lucrative online hustle other than like drop shipping or some shit. When I first started, everything I did was performance, but wasn't good. It was actually detrimental for me. But building up confidence was, I did the same thing as Courtney, which is I took a bunch of self-portraiture and also affirmations and mantras about self-love and self-confidence help a lot for me. But yeah, putting on a face for work is normal in like most positions where you're customer facing. So, with this, you can do a lot more cool faces.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. It was really nice to have you all on our very first Peep Show live. We really appreciate the panelists who decided to take this leap with us.
Thank you.
Bye.